to the Stadium Journey podcast. Thanks for joining us. You can find all of our 2,500 stadium reviews and counting, news items, and other feature stories on our website, stadiumjourney.com. Connect with us on all of our social media channels at Stadium Journey. Don't be afraid to like, don't be afraid to comment, don't be afraid to share our work. We like it when we're interactive. You can find audio versions of the Stadium Journey podcast by searching HIAC Talk Radio Network on whatever podcast app you use, or look for us on Spotify. Video simulcasts of the podcast can be found on Stadium Journey's YouTube page, and our classic back catalog can still be found at vocnation.com. We've been doing this show for over 4 years. Can you believe that? And all of our podcasts are still there. We record live every other Tuesday night at 8 Eastern at twitch.tv/danlaw83. Let's take a minute and introduce the starting lineup. Dave Cotney's here with us. You can follow him at ProFan9. Marc Viquez can be found on the social medias at Ballpark Hunter. Dan Calachico, the above average comedian, is here. You can follow him at DanLaw83. And I'm Paul Baker. You can follow me at PuckmanRI. So just a reminder, guys, if you're watching us for the first time, we're formatting things a little differently. Actually, this message is for those of you who have been following for 4 years. We're formatting things a little bit differently now on the podcast. We've separated into 2 shows. We do interviews in one section, and then we're going to do our trips and maybe a timely topic in the other section. So we're going to create 2 shorter podcasts, in theory, as opposed to one big long one. So we hope to be able to give you better recaps of the art of stadium journeying this way without making our podcast last for 3 hours or so. So this episode is dedicated to our travels over the last couple of weeks, covering late July 2021. So let's jump into where we've been since we last got together. And Dave, man, you ended a big drought last time we talked, but you ended a bigger drought this week. Why don't you tell us about your trip to the Rogers Center?
Okay, so yeah, it's 2 podcasts in a row where I actually have a visit. So actually I have a couple of visits this time. So last weekend started off with a trip to London, Ontario. They actually are doing something that we don't do a lot in Canada. They have a little ballpark tour at Labatt Memorial Park. And Labatt Memorial Park is the oldest baseball grounds in the world. Still. I'm sure Marc will say something about how it's Fuller Field in Clinton, Massachusetts, but basically between the 2 of them, they've been bouncing back and forth with Guinness, and currently the official title is Labatt Memorial Park is the oldest baseball grounds that have been continuously used. So the oldest baseball grounds in the world. Opened in 1877.
77. I was looking it up as you were saying it.
Yeah. And I think the big difference between what they were saying on the tour, which was, it was okay for there's nothing overly special about Labatt Memorial Park. It's, it's more a location than anything else. And it was more like a little history walk and whatnot. For $5, you can't go wrong. That's all it cost. But they said really the big difference between the 2 is that in London at Labatt Memorial Park, they've actually moved home plate. So the current location of home plate is not where it originally was. But the tour was interesting. Probably one of the more interesting parts is they have an osprey that has nested on top of the lighting standards. And I guess the city of London was a little bit worried about this, so they painstakingly had built this perch and moved the osprey nest in, I don't know, at some point when the birds weren't there or whatever. And so the perch is kind of past left field, and you could see it from the ballpark. And the ospreys decided that they didn't like that spot, so they moved the nest piece by piece back on top of the lighting standards. So
that's real nice that we're gonna go back to where we were. Thanks.
Yeah.
Leave it to humans to be like, we don't want you here. The animals going. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Now I'm not sure how serious they were, or if they were just kidding around, but during the tour they said that periodically people will have fish dropped on them because the Thames River is right behind the ballpark, behind the tree line, and the ospreys will go and grab some fish, and periodically it'll drop into the crowd or whatever. So I'm not sure how true that is, but it was okay. It's not something we do a lot in Canada. I mean, we do have a tour for Rogers Center, which is probably one of the worst tours I've ever been on. It was just really dull. I think maybe we'll go again sometime in the not too distant future, because we went like a few years ago. And then after the tour, we kind of hung around London a little bit. Jackson and I drove and saw Western University, which is the big school in London there. Our rivals, our biggest rivals for Laurier, just drove around the campus there a little bit. Drove to Budweiser Gardens, where the London Knights play, and the home of the Hunters. Grabbed something to eat, went for a walk, and then it was time we watched the London Majors. So the previous week, I had talked about the London Majors going to Welland to play the Welland Jackfish. So this game was the flip. So it was the Majors hosting the Welland Jackfish, and I actually got to see something that I didn't think it was that big a deal like eons ago. But now, especially now, when the way that baseball seems to be, it was a complete game shutout. How often do you see a pitcher go a full 9 and do a shutout? It was, again, it probably between London and Welland, those are the two best ballparks. The two best supported teams in intercounty, and maybe I was a little too snobby with knowing how Kitchener is with just a few bleachers and whatnot, and knowing that Toronto, like the Toronto Maple Leafs, the baseball Maple Leafs, I mean, they don't even have any stands where they play at Christie Pitts, and now they don't have any stands, but they also don't charge you anything, so you could just go bring your lunch here and sit and watch for free. So, we're kind of rolling through the intercounty a little bit and getting a little bit more experience. So, but we had a good time. It didn't have that minor league feel as much as Welland did, where, there were just promotions, and it really had that kind of minor league promotion feel to it. Felt like there was a little less work that was involved for the people running it, and maybe the London Majors have definitely been around longer than the Jackfish, and some great names that have played at Labatt Memorial Park. Well, Fergie Jenkins, after he retired, he actually played for the London Majors for a couple years, and then like Ty Cobb played there way back in like the kind of the independent years. The Detroit Tigers would come up and play an exhibition game, and played Ty Cobb. A few other guys were there. In London, they did have Denny McLean play, which I guess is a bit of a thing. So they had to drive him up by limo, and he wouldn't pitch. He played catcher, and apparently when he played catcher and first base, he hit like 360 or something like that. So
okay.
So yeah,
who was more of a pain in the ass, him or Ty Cobb?
Well, like I would say Denny McLean, because like Ty Cobb only came up for it was an exhibition game. It wasn't like he was playing for a London team, whereas Denny McLean was playing for a London team. So a good time, something different to do, and so Labatt Memorial Park.
Just happy that you're going to places again.
Yeah, it's
been too goddamn long.
Yeah, it's nice to be rolling around and getting a bit of a couple kilometers on the car. My car's like, wait a second, what's this? What are you asking me to do here? All this driving all of a sudden. So and then
mind your own business.
And then I lucked in. I don't know how I lucked in. My friend Marc, who seems to know everybody, somehow finagled his way into getting us tickets for the breaking of the 670-day drought. So we were lucky enough to be at Rogers Center for the very first Blue Jays game back, and it was pretty emotional. I saw an interview after they interviewed Charlie Montoya, who's the manager of the Jays, and And they did, the video montage or whatnot. And what was neat about the video montage is they didn't interview players or anything. They went out and interviewed fans and said, hey, like, I just want to say thanks for sticking with us, and thanks for all of the joy that you brought me. And we understand. I mean, we often have this view of, these athletes and they make millions and they're, pampered and whatnot. But like these guys, they didn't play at home all last year. And maybe that wasn't too terrible. You could situate yourself
it wasn't Buffalo. So I was going to say it wasn't Buffalo. So it's pretty terrible.
But like this year, there until just very recently, there was no home, right? Like they half of the team had never played at Rogers Center as a Blue Jay. So it was a pretty emotional return. Charlie Montoyo is like, he's like, I had to keep looking down so I wouldn't start to cry. And Toronto, not the loudest place, not well, I mean, I guess we were when in the playoff years and whatnot.
Okay, I was gonna say I know you were loud about one thing. I was watching.
That was pretty loud. Actually, I'm not sure if, to be honest, I'm not sure if the Carter home run was louder than the bat flip or not.
You guys traumatized the young Dan at like 10 years old. That freaking Joe Carter. I don't like him, Dad.
But that's okay. Hey, we sent you our Hall of Famer, and you got a World Series out of it.
We did. We listen. No complaints. I just think we joke around about the Joe Carter thing, but it was. I forgot to tell you, and I'm going to use that example. Let's talk about volume at the Rogers Center. I mistakenly forgot and watched every game-winning hit of a World Series compilation, and somehow forgot, probably because I buried it, that 93 was coming up. I was just like, I wasn't mad. I wasn't sad. I was like, man, that was clutch. He hit that thing so hard, and it was over.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, and if you ever have the opportunity to see an interview with probably one of the most annoying baseball players ever, Ricky Henderson, Henderson will claim credit for that home run because he was on base, and Mitch Williams wasn't really fully invested in that batter because Ricky was on base, and Ricky was the whole cause of that game-winning home run, which is completely ridiculous. But yeah, it was great to go out. What they're doing is the capacity is 15,000 at the moment until the province goes into a different stage in returning to everything. And funny enough, they announced the attendance at 13,000 something, and everybody knew that it was a sellout. Basically, all the games are sold out, except for maybe you could get your hands on some uber expensive seats. But yeah, the 15,000 includes all the players, all the concession people, all of the ushers, bat boys, everybody, broadcasters, everybody. So, if the president of the Blue Jays decides to go to the game, Marc Shapiro, that's one less ticket that they could sell. So, it was kind of rough in some cases, like the concessions, you had to keep saying, like, you kind of joke in my head. I didn't actually say this to anyone, but, like, what is it, your first day? It's like, well, actually it is a first day. It's everybody's first day. Haven't been here, and even if they were here 2 years ago, right? So, but the upper deck was completely not used, and basically what they had was between the third base and first base, those were kind of full capacity seating. So we were in the TD Club, which is amazing. I mean, they're ridiculously expensive seats that my friend Marc somehow got a hold of, and we were right behind home plate, but it was packed in that area. Everybody had to wear their masks unless they were eating. So even if you were sitting there, you were supposed to wear your mask. And then past kind of the bases throughout the outfield and down the lines, it was like pod seating, so it was a little bit more spaced out. One of the things that they did do is they had the ginormous flag out there. They had all the players run in from center field, kind of like college football style, and it was underneath flags. Like they had all these flag bearers. Well, all the flag bearers were frontline workers from Toronto General.
Oh, nice!
So that was pretty
nice.
cool.
Nice.
And they brought in the giant flag. That I'm pretty sure it's the flag. The flag is owned by the Hamilton Tiger Cats because they do that every game. And
Gotcha.
so anyway, the Canadian military people were in charge of carrying out this flag and rolling it out and then rolling it back up. That's the big deal, is putting it all back together. Takes a military operation to do that, I think. But
literally,
when they went to their seats, all of the military were in this one line that was maybe about 8 or 10 people wide and went from kind of the bottom of the section to the top of the section. And that was it was almost like the barrier between the full seating and the pod seating. So all the way around, you had like regular seating and then just this military group there. And of course, there's always idiots there. And so some idiots decided that they were going to try and get the wave going in the top of the first, which wasn't very successful. But later on, they actually did get it, and the wave comes rolling around, and I wasn't sure if it was just going to stop at that military line or.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like, does it just
but
go?
No, they just partied on all the army guys. They were like, woo! So, but it was it was great to be out. We had a great time. Wow, it'd been a long time since I've been downtown Toronto. My favorite parking lot is now a hole, which is going to be soon a giant condominium building. So I'm gonna have to come up with a new parking plan, because the number of times I've been to Rogers Center, like my parking situation was down to a science. I knew the exact best way and in and out. And so anyway, but it was great to be out and had a great time in Toronto.
So the big question, did they win?
The Jays did win. They won. They won 63.
I was going to be real. Like, even for you, I'd be like, "Oh man, they won."
No, and that was a big thing. A big kind of emotional win. It helped that they were playing Kansas City, and Kansas City's pretty terrible. But there's no love lost in Toronto for the Kansas City Royals after both the years that they won the World Series, they had to go through the Blue Jays to do it. So in '85 they won, and then in 2015 they beat the Jays in the bat flip year. So we got to see.
It's so amazing that flip. I don't know who's mad at that. Like, I can see the other team being mad, but like Fred on Twitter, how dare he? What are you mad at? That was amazing.
Well, I understand the idea of being upset when someone flips their bat and kind of shows them up, but to me, like, this wasn't a 13-2 win in the middle of May. It was the first playoff series for the Jays since 1993, and it was the last game, and it was so clutch.
It's literally clutch.
Yeah,
that's what you reserve that for. It's the moments like that.
Absolutely. Look at the footage. Like, after it's hit, there is no footage that you can really, everything is shaking up and down because the place is nobody can hold a steady camera. It's going so crazy there. So they did win, and that was pretty awesome.
So how long does this stay in place? When do they start allowing more tickets sold? Because like I know it wasn't, but it seems like in the States it was like, okay, go.
Yeah,
it wasn't. Because,
in some states, I think it was. Okay, we're good. Go.
Well, because all right. So the example for like the Flyers were like, all right, we'll let 5 in, we'll let 10 in. Okay, well, we're not going to the playoffs, so next season we'll start with a full house. And I know the
Right.
Wells Fargo Center went through. They put in that suggested air filtration
Oh, okay.
system that's sucking in out air and
Mhm.
and getting it the heck out of that building, and then so it's barring a few things that need to be changed over here for attitudes and how they're treating the virus still, which I won't go into. That's a whole other podcast. It's full speed ahead. What's the timeline for?
Well, up here, so with the Blue Jays specifically, they have only sold tickets for the first 3 series, which are basically in a row. So if you want to go to a game like late August, unless you're a season ticket holder, you're going to have to wait to buy
Okay.
those tickets, because when they started opening things up, Ontario had a 3-stage approach,
Right.
and it was based on the number of vaccines and what the percentage of people were fully vaccinated and all those kinds of things. We're now all in stage 3, and we have not yet, and I think it's coming actually next week, word from the province as to what the next step is and how that's going to look. So, the Blue Jays 15,000 right now, Toronto FC, as well as Montreal and Vancouver, have all been given permission to finish the Major League Soccer season at home. The Canadian Football League is starting to kick off next week. I mean, I have my eye on getting to see the Argonauts this year. Those tickets aren't even on sale yet. Like the Argonauts have 2 weeks that they're on the road to start, because other provinces are kind of a little further along the line than where Ontario is. So the Argonauts home opener is April 20 or April. Oh my gosh. I hope not. August 21st.
I just for a second I was like, wait, what?
It's August 21st, and those tickets aren't on sale yet. So 15,000, that seems to be the magic number, whether it's Toronto FC or the Blue Jays or whatever.
Smart.
But everything is going short. It's piece by piece by piece by piece. With the Blue Jays, you have an option, right? Like you can go behind home plate and be in with everybody, or you can go and get pod seating, which are sold like in twos. Like you can't buy just a single. Cool. You have to buy 2 or buy 4 or whatever.
I like that's a good idea.
So all of those kinds of things are still, like the wheels are still turning, and it seems like we're not really sure where it is. We're getting dates for things, which is amazing. The OUA football season, which is my big deal.
The band Genesis had Canadian tour dates 3 months ago, and I was like,
yeah,
do you know something I don't know? Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
I'm good. Yeah. No, that's good. I'm glad. Like,
University sports have dates lined up.
What are they saying about the NHL? League? That's what I was going to ask. Yeah, go ahead.
The NHL is still too early. I mean, they haven't even released a schedule or anything like that.
Wow, because the American teams all have them.
Do they?
Yeah. The schedules are out, man. I'll check.
But the OHL traditionally starts in early September, which is far earlier than the NHL starts. So there are dates for all those things. What that's going to look like the Kitchener Rangers have not yet announced how that's going to play out. Some of even the smaller stuff. So the CEBL, which is like a small basketball league that features a lot of Canadian talent, that runs in the summer. I mean, that's running right now, and they're taking fans in Hamilton and in Guelph at same sort of thing, a reduced capacity. So
Maple Leafs have the schedule out. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, continue. I'll give you the date.
Yeah, but they haven't really said exactly what's happening yet, and I don't think they want to go beyond what is really going to happen. They don't want to,
Sure.
oh yeah, well we're gonna have a full house, and then have to backtrack and say, well, we were gonna have a full house, but then the premier said no.
I was thinking, like I mentioned the concert, like they're gonna. I'm assuming kind of like the Foo Fighters are doing that. By the time we get there, I don't really have a doubt that the shows are going to happen, but I think they're going to have to be like, listen, you got to be vaccinated to come in, or you're not coming in. Well, it's just the way it has to be.
That's really the big issue now, is the idea of thou shalt be vaccinated, and some people believe it and some people don't, and we're pretty much staring down the barrel of some elections coming up, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you are.
we're pretty much believing that we're going to have a federal election in October. Nothing for sure yet. And our system isn't like the American system, where it's kind of like clockwork. Election is this time and this time and this time. Doesn't matter. There is a term limit, but the prime minister can call an election really anytime in between. So
term limits.
Yeah. With that, who knows, right? And as much as we love sports and whatnot, that's not even, that kind of stuff isn't even at the top of the media list. Like right now they're talking about schools and should unvaccinated kids be allowed to go to school, or should they be required to do distance learning? Or what about all these kids like we do? We have vaccinations up here for kids 12 and over. Anyone younger than that,
we got that too now. Yeah.
They don't have them.
Yeah, same here.
I think it's the science, but so what about all those kids who aren't vaccinated, who are younger? What is their risk, and or how does that all play in? So that seems to be more of the bigger story and concern, as opposed to like having the Jays back is great. We're looking forward to
one day at a time.
We're looking forward to those things, and truthfully, I think a big part of it is the outdoor versus indoor. So
that's I was gonna say, because you were saying you can go anywhere really in a stadium and get away from somebody that's not closed off. It's like, I'm breathing the air above me. It's cool.
Yeah. With dining, like we're in stage 3 now. Finally, you can go and eat inside a restaurant with stage 3. Where before you could only you could eat at a restaurant. You just, in stage 2 you could eat at a restaurant, but it had to be outside on a patio, which isn't the biggest deal in the summer, but it's not summer all year round up here.
I won't be doing that for a long time. Not in this state. By the way, the Maple Leafs October 13th.
Okay.
Against the Habs.
That's as normal. It like a schedule is. It seems we're getting back to that sort of normal start date, right? Which leads to a very short off season, which I understand that athletes aren't happy with, but
no. I'm glad you. I wanted to piggyback on that real quick because we got other visits from the other boys to do. But when you said about athletes, have this perception of people, we got to get to a new age, in my feeling, where we got to throw that onto the owners. like some athletes, sure, but it's like they're humans too, guys. You know what I mean?
To kind of end it off, I would say this, and they had interviews. I actually saw today interview with Marc Shapiro. They had interviews with Charlie Montoya of the Jays. Marc Shapiro is the president. And they both said one of the things that was really great about this entire situation is they didn't have players complaining. These guys had probably more hardships this season anyway, more hardships than any of the other Major League Baseball players. They played in Florida for a while at their at their spring training location. They played at Buffalo, their AAA location. They didn't complain about facilities that were substandard, or they didn't complain about lighting. They didn't complain about any of those things. Now, on the flip side, the Jays sunk a whole bunch of money into Dunedin to bring it up, to major league standards. They sunk a whole whack of money into Salem Field in Buffalo, improved the lighting, improved the clubhouse, improved all those sort of things too. But the Jays top brass is saying that the players have been excellent and nobody's really complained about anything. So that's nice to hear.
Meanwhile, the Phillies have QAnon on their team, so it's fun.
And Mark, you and I were kind of in the same neighborhood. We actually saw each other a couple of times over the last couple of weeks. We were both in the great state of North Carolina. So let's where shall we start? You started in Virginia? Yeah, I did too. That's right.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. No, well, actually, it was in Tennessee. I did 3 Appalachian League games. Greenville Flyboys at Pioneer Park, Johnson City Doughboys at TVA Credit Union Ballpark. Ooh, that's a long one. And then Elizabethtown, they're called the River Riders, Riverside Park, Joe O'Brien Field. That has a new corporate name. Can't really think about it. My favorite of those 3 were probably Johnson City. I was there for Thirsty Thursdays, and my goodness, the amount of beers that they had on tap was insane. And they were selling for $1, $2, and $3, depending on the ounces. And what I like about that ballpark, it's an old school baseball stadium that has some modern finishes and some recent renovations that kind of spruce up it a bit. And one of the cool sections is it's this 2-deck outdoor bar. I think it's called the Pier down the third baseline, where it's an open bar, tables, booths. The second level is right on the field. And Thirsty Thursdays, there's no better place to be, as long as you're not driving home, taking Uber. And I just had loads of fun there. I just couldn't believe how amazing this ballpark was. The place was packed, covered grandstand with fans to cool you off. And even downtown Johnson City was nice. It was about a little over a mile away from Yeehaw Brewing Company, which looks to be in an old train depot. And there's also the White Duck Taco Shop, which has tacos with grilled chicken, Korean beef, gyro meat, all BLT, all sorts of weird options. And they're not small tacos that you're finished after a couple bites. They're very they can fill you up. You get a couple tacos and they can fill you up. But Johnson City, I didn't know what to expect from the town. I don't think it's a place you want to be for a few weeks. A long weekend. But definitely for the night or overnight, a lot of fun. And of course, you can just drive about 15 minutes away to Elizabethton and check out another ballpark. And there you can do a lot of outdoor activities, river, paddle boating, tubing down the river that goes in back of the ballpark. As for the stadium itself, it's sort of like a mismatched facility. Football grandstand on one side, a random bleacher seating down the other side. Atmosphere is not as happening. They still had Thirsty Thursday when I was there. So you were still getting $1 beers and $2 beers. I had loads of fun in Johnson City and Elizabethton, and they're right next to each other. You can do 2 baseball games in one day. You can even do Greenville, Tennessee as well. If you're into U.S. history, that's where Andrew Johnson's from, the 17th president, not one of our most distinguished presidents, but you can definitely do some tours there. So that whole little area, I lied. You can do more than a long weekend there in all 3 of those spots. A lot of fun. Glad I did the trip. I had you been there?
I have been to Andrew Johnson's house. I got the passport stamps, the national park passport stamps to prove it.
Oh, look at that. See, I didn't have time to do that. Here I am telling people you just go there for overnight and you can, a couple of days between the 3 cities. Yeah, I love going to presidential historic homes and libraries. So it's a shame I didn't get to see that. But who knows? It's only a 7-hour drive. I may be back there one day.
Right around the corner.
A lot of fun. So those were the 3 I did. Yeah, those were the 3 I did. And then the next night we met up in Danville, Virginia, which from that area, I want to say was a 4-hour drive for me. And of course, I took the wrong route. I went through the mountains, which 2-lane highways going through mountains. it got me to Boone, North Carolina, which is another fabulous little town that I think people should see. They're also home to a summer collegiate team, which was not there, but I got to see the ballpark. But we met up in Danville, which that was kind of the first leg of our tour.
Yeah, you, me, and a few other stadium journey writers. Yeah. So what do you think of
me,
American
you,
Legion
Aaron,
Field?
and it was okay. I liked the crowd. I liked how you can get food service there. I love the Otterbots name. I just didn't think it was It was I was expecting a little bit more. When we had Austin Scher on, he really talked up a good game about it, and I got a chance to talk with him. It feels like they're limited at what they can do at that ballpark right now. So I'm hoping in the future we're going to see a lot more crazy stuff like we saw in Burlington.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. I think
They
they're
knocked-
early on in the process. Yeah.
Yeah, early on the process. And when you go to Danville, you feel as if like it's their ballpark, but they haven't fully embraced what they can do there, because there was a lot of empty spaces down that left field part of the stadium. I was like, man, they can have a lot more going on here, and their concessions were, I mean, they had nice variety. I mean, it wasn't as if, but yeah, they had the otter tots, which were tater tots with cheese, jalapenos, and bacon bits, and they had a fried piece of bologna on a burger, which one of the concession people told me not to get. But you're right, it was just basics. Yeah, they told me the same thing. Like, don't have your concession people tell folks from Stadium Journey not to get the bologna burger. I mean, let me make that decision for myself. Not that I would get it because I hate bologna, but
how dare you?
I like the crowd. There was a great crowd. I love the fans. I love when we were, I kept having to get up and down on my seat because there was a young lady serving people. I thought that was a cool little feature. So I think they're kind of in that primitive spot of making some bigger changes there. And I think they're going to do a great job because that Otterbot's name is fantastic. I love the mascot there too. He was extremely active, but I think you and me can agree that Burlington was just amazing. And
the Otterbot was not a bot. He was just a fuzzy, cute otter.
He wasn't, like Godzilla and Megalozilla are two different things.
Right, like
You're right. He was just an otter.
One of our correspondents, Aaron Terry, who was with us, said, I was expecting a Transformer otter robot thing, and I got this fuzzy stuffed animal, which was nice. He was very active mascot, but he was not a bot.
Yeah, he was not robotic,
Yeah.
Maybe we could tell Austin that. Austin, where's your robotic otter? Come on, man.
Yeah, and then like you said, on from Danville was the big event, the Stadium Journey Convention at Burlington Athletic Stadium in Burlington, North Carolina. We ended up having 7 correspondents join together, and it was just a fantastic time. The sock puppets, and Anderson Rathbun, who was on the podcast a while back, did not sell it short. They pull out all the stops at Burlington for the game day atmosphere.
No, it was. The only bad part about that game was that it was raining. Not enough to damper the mood, but enough to kind of come on. Really, it's like it's been hot as what down here the whole week, and it has to rain this night. But yeah, old covered grandstand, good crowd. They were expecting a sellout for that night, and if it had not rained, we would have had. I don't know. I thought it was a nice crowd there to begin with. But as soon as you walk in, they have socks that the little kids can design and make little sock puppets. They had balloon sculptures. They had face painting. I was there with a buddy of mine, Zach, his little daughter, fell in love with the atmosphere there, and she wants to go back to every sock puppets game. And
they had a marching
they have this little kind of saying. They go sock puppet. The marching band, yes. I mean, and the food. I mean, they had their own beer, sock puppet pilsner. They had red oak beer on tap, which you can only get in North Carolina. So, of course, you're not going to be able to get it in Virginia. And the prices were $4 to $5. I mean, the beers are not that expensive in the Appalachian League. even on a non-thirsty Thursday. $5. And
Yeah, I had these. I tried. The
I
sock
met some
puppet
really
Pilsner.
nice people there.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
sock,
and
sock
that
puppet
that
Pilsner
was
was
a
good.
tasty beer. I would recommend it. Food was your basic hot dogs, grilled chicken, burgers, nachos. But the alcohol was pretty nice. I actually was with a friend from New Jersey, Kim, and her husband showed up. I haven't seen Kim since 1997. It's been a minute. Last time I saw her, she was going off to North Carolina. I was going off to Indiana to school, and we never came back home. She was there with her husband. They had a great time. Their sons didn't have such a great time. They're not baseball fans, but I appreciate you guys coming out and sticking through the game. But only problem with that game is with the sock puppets got rolled big time. Merchandise, my goodness, did they have a ton of merchandise? Any type of hat you wanted. They actually ran out of some of the sizes of the cap that I wanted. So that was a little bit disappointing, but love when somebody can take an old park. And here's another thing: you enter the stadium, it says "Welcome to Sockville." I mean, they did everything that they explained they were going to do, and I probably expect more. I would like to see 2 sock puppet mascots walking around sometime soon. Yeah, just a great time. If you have kids and you live within a reasonable distance from Burlington, North Carolina, that's a great place to go with your children because they're going to love mascots. They're going to love the kid activities. Adults are going to like the price of beer. I think it was like $10 extra to get all you can eat food, which was insane. Free parking, and it's just an old school baseball atmosphere. I wish I can go back there this weekend if there was a game. I really, that was probably one of my highlights of the trip was that sock puppets game.
Nice.
I don't know how you felt. I mean, we went to so many other ballparks. I don't know how you felt. I guess we'll talk after.
I hadn't been to Burlington in 11 years, and I got to say the place looked amazing compared to what I remembered.
Okay.
They've really kept it up well. Coat of paint, and everything you said about the atmosphere was spot on. It was fantastic. It was great to see what they've done to the place. It looked miles better than what I remember it in 2010. So where did you head on from Burlington?
Next day I went to Durham. I went to Durham Bulls Athletic Park. I had been there before, but I had to go back because it's one of my favorite ballparks. I know I've been on this show before, and Sean Aronson, cover your ears, my man. I think that's my favorite minor league ballpark now. I said it. I'm sorry. I love St. Paul Saints, but Durham Bulls Athletic Park is something truly amazing. It almost doesn't even feel like a AAA ballpark. It reminds me of sort of like the Omaha World Series, TD Ameritrade. That's something a little bit above AAA. You walk in, all your concessions are on the interior underneath the grandstand. That's not that common in modern AAA ballparks. It looks much bigger than it should be. I love the bowl in left field. I love how it has has a slightly covered grandstand. Once you walk up into the outfield area, there's different areas. Food trucks, there's some outdoor bars, there's some party patios. There was a spot where they had Puerto Rican cuisine, which they had a little bit of Cuban cuisine in there too. It's kind of, guys, us Latinos, we eat different foods from our other countries, but that's fine. It was a nice little spot. Yes, we do. Not Costa Ricans, we're not eating Cuban sandwiches, even though we can give you some good batidas if you want some, but that's a different story. Anyway, there's a brewery there. They make their own beer. I did not get to try that because I was eating the Rita's Italian ice with the custard. They actually had a good slice of pizza there. I was like, okay, you guys have pizza in Durham. What the heck's going on here? Just had a lot of fun there. It's just such a nice atmosphere. They had the instead of the Fenway Green Monster, they have a Blue Monster with a giant screen that looks like it's painted on there. So tons of fun. We got to see the Bulls snort a couple times for home runs. and the kids ran the bases, and my friend's little daughter wanted to go to another baseball game. That's how much fun she had.
Nice.
Yes.
I just want to shout out Xavier Max 7 for the subscription, subbing to the channel. And Xavier Max said, no problem. Marc's an old roommate from ISU, so I'm stopping by to support the stream. I just wanted to shout him out live on here and on the podcast, so it was on there.
I'm going to give a biggity shout out to my man Jeremy. He knows, I know exactly who that is. And Xavier McGillicuddy, that's one of our aliases that we have used in the past for some pranks.
I don't even
Xavier
know.
Mack. As soon as you said Xavier Mack, I'm like, okay, I know who that is. So.
But I wanted to
I
get that
know
on the
who that
podcast and I wanted to get that on the episode and on the live stream before, in a break. But when what you were
Good,
saying,
yeah.
Thank you.
Tell you, both of you guys would get along. You have very similar interests. So
does he
anytime,
call it pork
anytime.
roll?
So, he's from.
I'm kidding.
He's from Southern Indiana, so
I'm kidding.
he has no idea what the hell that is.
He calls it baloney like the rest of
Oh,
us humans.
real quick. This is yes or no question. The arena at the Indiana State Fairgrounds used to be called the Pepsi Coliseum.
It used to be called the Pepsi Coliseum.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
It was. It's called the Indiana Farmers
Something or
called?
other. Yeah, I don't remember.
Indiana
It
Farmers
has
Coliseum.
Starfield.
I was
Indiana
watching
Farmers Coliseum.
I was watching old monster
That's
truck
what I'm
footage
saying.
from like the mid '90s, and it was at Indiana State Fairgrounds, and on the background it said Pepsi Coliseum, and it was at the same time the Nordiques were still or just not active. Like it was like 94, 90, between 94 and 96. I was like,
Yeah.
well, that's weird. It's called the same thing. Sorry. Good.
Yeah, some people still call it the Pepsi Coliseum, and depending on how long you lived in town, you know what they're talking about. So yeah, Durham. I mean, and then you have that American tobacco thing in the back, an old tobacco factory that has been converted into shops and bars and restaurants. I mean, it's Bull Durham, a classic movie that made minor league baseball what it is today, and they are definitely showing that at their new stadium there. And I had a great time. That's where I started feeling that heat, though. That was like the first day I was like, man, it is roasting here. So that's where I went the next day. Where did you go? I think you're somewhere nearby.
After Burlington, I went to Winston-Salem and caught a game at
not too far either.
Truist Point. Or is it Truist Point's High Point? Truist Stadium. There's so many Truists.
Yes.
I get them all mixed up. But yeah, Winston-Salem, really nice downtown ballpark, right off the highway. The biggest negative to the place is the parking, because it's got a giant parking lot right beyond the outfield wall in center field, but you can't park there unless you reserve in advance online. So you can't just go up and pay your $10 to go park. You have to go through an app and everything. Luckily, I checked out the website and found this out and reserved a spot, and it was a nice short walk. Fantastic. Winston-Salem downtown. There's some nice places to eat. We stopped at a great brewery before the game, had some lunch, and had a beer. What's it called? They advertise at the game.
Foothills.
Foothills?
Foothills?
Yes, Foothills.
Yeah.
But the ballpark is, it's vintage. I'd say it was vintage 90s design. It's got the concourse that wraps 360 degrees at the top of the seating bowl with the luxury boxes and press box up above, so you can see the ballpark from wherever. Like you said, Mark, it was a hot day. It was a Sunday afternoon game. It was hot. We were able to find a spot where we could spread out a little bit and get a little bit of breeze. Really enjoyed the ballpark. I got a review I've got to write from that place. So really enjoyed Winston-Salem. I would say our present review overrates it. It's got it at like a 4.5. It was good. Wasn't that good. Food was decent. Sunday afternoon crowd. So it was smallish. So lots of room to walk around, and it was a good time. And balls, I don't know if this is typical, but the balls were flying out of the ballpark that day. We must have seen 8 or 9 home runs in the game we were at, between Jersey Shore and Winston-Salem.
Jersey Shore. I gotta get used to call them the Jersey Shore Blue Claws.
Yes.
But yeah, Lakewood. So Monday I had a day off. I did go to the Greensboro Grasshoppers gift shop, but that was my excitement for baseball. And we did watch A League of Their Own. My friend's little daughter watched it for the first time, loved it.
Love that movie.
But you went to baseball on Monday.
I did.
One of my
And
favorites.
I am sporting the cap from the Forest City Owls.
There you go.
Now, Forest City is a small town, population about 7,500. Tiny, tiny town. Used to be known as Burnt Chimney. I wish they would have kept that name. That's a unique
Yeah, I
name.
was gonna say that'd be great
Burnt
baseball
Chimney.
name. Yeah.
Burnt Chimney, yes. But you know,
Burnt
if you're looking to make
chimneys.
your town sound attractive, calling it a burnt chimney is probably not that great. So it's now
No.
called Forest City. The team name is the Owls. The ballpark is McNair Field. The reason it's called McNair Field, it is named after Bruce McNair, the former owner of the Houston Texans. He is a native of Forest City. He played American Legion ball and high school ball in Forest City on the site where McNair Field is now built. He donated. His foundation continues to donate to local high school kids for scholarships, but he also donated, him and his wife, over $1 million to construct this beautiful gem of a ballpark in this tiny little town. I had such a great time there. We happened to be going there on a Monday night. It was raining all day there. We actually went and climbed a mountain. We climbed Chimney Rock, which is about an hour away in between Forest City and Asheville.
Not Burnt Chimney Rock.
No, this was just Chimney Rock, and it was rainy rock.
Yeah,
when we were up
Denise
there.
and I have been to Chimney Rock. Yeah.
And
Denise
at the
and I have been
bottom,
to Chimney
at the
Rock.
bottom
She
of
was
Chimney
scared
Rock,
out of her wazoo.
at the bottom of Chimney Rock is this awesome brew pub. Right on there's a river or a stream that goes by called
That's
Hickory
what I
Nut
forgot
Brew
to
Pub.
do.
And we sat there in the downpour under an umbrella, watching the water flow by, drinking our fantastic Hickory Nut beers. So it was a great afternoon.
That
And then we
did
tapped-
look fun. That did
Yeah.
look fun.
We topped it off with a baseball game. I have never seen a grounds crew work so hard to get a college baseball game in. We had a 2-hour rain delay, but I didn't care. I was talking to all the locals. Everybody was so friendly. I was wearing our new Stadium Journey hats that we got at the convention. So a couple people
Oh,
recognized
yeah,
the
it's in my
site. So
car.
I got to talk about the website and we got to talk about our travels. So that was a lot of fun. The PA guy was on point playing rain songs all during the delay. Pulled out some oldies but goodies, some obscure songs. So that made it fun. But this little ballpark, man, it's got everything. It's got your little grandstand. It seats about 2,000. So it's got the box seats down front, the bleachers up back. If you want to sit in the beer garden, they have tables that line the right field line with wait service and everything. It's got a patio deck where you can sit up there with tables and you get wait service. And if you pay $5 to go, I think it was $5. Whatever the price was, it was very affordable. And for the whole game, you get wait service, you get $1 hot dogs, $1 popcorn, $1 waters, and like $2 beers. What an incredible bargain!
For $5 extra.
I think that's what it was. I actually
Okay.
just wrote a review on this, and it's live today as of the day we're taping this. There's tables on the other side. They're just whatever kind of way you wanted to take in the game, it's there. Small town feel, friendly people. I felt like I was a Forest City honorary citizen by the end of the night. It was just a wonderful experience, and it's why we go to these little ballparks. Why we search the country looking for gems like McNair Field. Man, it was just a fantastic place.
And that's a newer stadium too. That's not an older facility that somebody spruced up. Somebody built that for the
2008. 2008.
Yeah.
The team moved from Spartanburg right over the state line to Forest City.
Yeah. And we'll Spartanburg a little bit later in this episode because that's where I wound up on my last ballpark. So,
right.
Yeah, Tuesday. Yeah. Okay. So that was Monday. Did you do any other ballparks Monday?
Yep.
Just that?
No, just that. As you may or may not know, listening to this show, the way the minor leagues are doing their schedules this year is teams are playing the same team for a week. So every Monday is a travel day, and they play a 6-game series in every city, Tuesday through Sunday. So every Monday, every minor league team has off. So that's how I found Forest City. They were the only team in the area playing on the Monday. So Tuesday, I moved on to a new ballpark in the Independent League in Gastonia, which is a small city about a half an hour west, 20 minutes to a half an hour west of Charlotte. Brand new ballpark for the Atlantic League's Gastonia Honey Hunters. game ended up getting rained out after 5 innings, but that's all right. It was still a very memorable experience. Now the ballpark, it's got a corporate name. It was originally called like Fuse Stadium. It's got a new name, but the thing that I remember about this park is Mark, you talk a lot about social gathering areas and stuff like that, and how ballparks are fitting those in to their designs. This ballpark is the future of ballpark design. It says that it's
okay. Yeah, I kind of thought that too.
It says that it seats 5,000, but there probably are only about 1,000 seats in the seating bowl. There's only 5 rows from maybe very shallow left field around to very shallow right field. The rest of the ballpark, the rest of the ballpark is social areas. There was a section where you could sit on rocking chairs and watch the game. There are bar stools lining the entire circumference of the field. So you can, and there were lots of open areas where you can gather with a group and do your thing. There was a big patio out in short foul left field. There were all kinds of different places, social gathering areas, non-traditional seating areas.
No, you're absolutely right. I went there the day after you. I wasn't planning on going there. I was going to be in Charlotte that night. And luckily, it worked out that I was there at 4, and then I was able to get to Charlotte at 7. But when I arrived there, Jeff Johnson, who's part of public affairs, he and I talked for quite some time about how that ballpark was designed not just for baseball, but it was designed for lacrosse and soccer and concerts. And you're right, five rows of seats from foul pole to foul pole. I've never seen that in an independent ballpark. You know, maybe high school level, cabana suites. They had the rest of the ballpark was lined up with tabletops and chairs, and you know they had an outdoor play area. They had an outdoor bar. It's just a very differently designed facility. Unfortunately, I was there during a rain delay makeup game on a Wednesday. Not a lot of people there. Once again, hot as you know what, and and I met up with fellow ballpark traveler Bart Wilhelm. Am I saying that right?
Yeah,
he does some work for us on Stadium Journey. He's written for us. Thank you, because he's covered a lot of ballparks. I mean, I go to a lot of ballparks. This guy makes me look like an amateur, but he and I met up there for a little while before I went into the press boxes. It was just so darn hot there. Yeah, that whole Fuse project, they're looking at having a brewery across the street. They're looking at adding some other entertainment options to Gastonia, which, kind of needs some little kick in the you-know-what.
Yeah, absolutely. Gastonia is a rundown city that maybe has seen better days. We went before the game. We went to this awesome steakhouse that is located in an old theater. It was the old theater downtown. Wow. In Gastonia. They've converted it to a fancy steakhouse. And when we went up there, we were sitting up in the balcony. Our table's up in the balcony. They show movies on the screen as you can look down into the kitchen, and show movies on the back screen. Oh. The steaks were fantastic. We talked to the owner of the restaurant, and he said that they're looking to convert now a bank that's a couple blocks up. So a lot of stuff going on in the Fuse district. The ballpark, like you said, Mark, is going to be the center of the activity. They play lacrosse there, high school football, soccer. It's designed to be multi-sport. And we took in the game from one of the drink rails. We sat out in left center field and took in the game, and it was wonderful because it was a hot night, but it was breezy out there. But then the rain came, and there was an outdoor bar in center field, so we just ducked into the outfield bar. And since we were all stuck there during the rain delay, the stand that's right next to the bar closed, and they set us up with hot dogs and chicken fingers and beers and stuff. We had a great time. Me and a bunch of strangers who are now friends. So that was Gastonia, a very interesting ballpark. If you're a traditionalist, you're not going to.
Oh yeah, and also the food there. They had. I didn't see the barbecue because it wasn't ready yet, but I was smelling it. And they also had Korean-inspired tacos. I've never seen that at just the normal concession stand there. So they're doing something a little bit different there, and I hope it works out, because it is nice to see somebody build a ballpark that is a little bit different than the ordinary. And being that's kind of not a ballpark. It's supposed to be a multi-purpose stadium. I hope we get to see soccer. I hope we get to see football and other activities there because it's built for that. And good luck to them.
And after after you saw the Honey Hunters, you went on to Charlotte to one of the most beautiful.
Yes, I headed up to Charlotte. I didn't hit any traffic. Everybody kept telling me, "Oh, got to get there early because you're going to hit traffic." But I got into Charlotte very easily. I parked next door for $5 in the parking lot. Very, very easy to get in. Very easy to, well, not so easy to get out. Just wait till the traffic dissipates. But yeah, Charlotte's Truist, is it Truist Field? Truist Ballpark? It's one of those names. One of those Truist Bank names. So I was able to get in there. Yeah, Truist Field. And I've never been there before. The last time I was in Charlotte was over 10 years ago to see the old ballpark, Knight Stadium, or the Knight Castle. Here, what a difference! A downtown setting and that skyline. The buildings are right on top of you at Truist Field. It's a beautiful AAA ballpark. It doesn't break any new grounds, I think, in design, but the views, the open areas, even in right field, they have a little bit of an upper deck railing that reminded me a little bit of Hartford's ballpark that I found myself hanging out quite a bit. They have a mascot, Homer, that entertains the kids. Their gift shop, my goodness, this thing had every type of cap that the team has ever worn in their history, shirts. They're going with their alter ego, the construction cones, yellow hat with a construction cone on there. I thought about buying it. I really did. I even went back the next day. Just yellow isn't my thing. So beautiful views. When it gets dark, the skies light up as well, and you get even a nicer visual. And then once again, I wish I had more time to enjoy it, but the game went by quick. I think it was like a 2 hour and 40-minute game. It was a pitcher's game. It went by really quick. I was like, the game's over already? Great food, great commerce. My only problem, I didn't see a lot of places to go to after the game that were in walking distance. I don't know if you remember when you were there, but I was expecting some spots. There was one place that had a rooftop bar. That's the only thing I can think of. Of course, you're also next to the football stadium, so perhaps things were closed for whatever reason. Another thing that I noticed with that ballpark is if you go behind the left field, they have these nice brick displays of the old ballparks that definitely some people may not notice that are there, but I knew they were there, so I went and checked them out and took some photos. But beautiful place. It did not disappoint me. And once again, was talking to some random fans about what I was doing. So they were very hospitable, showed me some Southern hospitality. Same thing with Gastonia. So that's always a welcome too when people talk to you and tell you what to do in town.
Yeah, so it had been a while since I've been to Charlotte, but yeah, that view of the skyscrapers takes your breath away. And those weren't all completed when I was there, so I imagine it's better now.
Yeah.
You were talking about restaurants on the other side of the park. I don't know what the name of the park is beyond right field. There are some places on the other side there. I remember going to a nice pub with kind of a Viking theme to it. So I don't think it was a Norwegian pub per se, but it was,
yeah,
it was a good place.
There was one place that was closed. So I just hopped in my car and went someplace else. But I was kind of curious if there was a place to walk to. I mean, no big deal. By that time, I was exhausted. My hotel was in Matthews, which was about a 20-minute drive. So I was like, I just want to get to the hotel. I'm exhausted. So I'm getting old. Some days I just want to go to the hotel after the ball game. It's not how I used to be.
I hear you.
So yeah, good times. And then we both went to another new ballpark on different nights. We just missed each other. That was Kannapolis. I'll let you go first. Tell me what you thought of it.
Okay,
the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I was there on Wednesday in Kannapolis. I got to tell you, I loved this ballpark. One of our former writers, Jared Goodman, says that it was just kind of a meh ballpark. but I really enjoyed it. It's part of a whole like downtown new construction. The whole new downtown
Yeah.
seems like it's brand new.
Revitalization.
Yeah, well, it's not even a revitalization. Like everything's new. It looks like it's all built from scratch. The downtown is full of little
Okay.
shops and very walkable streets. If you're a racing fan, the Dale Earnhardt statue is a block away from the stadium. We checked that out.
I missed
There's a
that.
really nicely done little plaza with a nice statue of Dale, and it's very tranquil. It's got columns, like what out of Bill and Ted Craig had really columns and steps. It was very tranquil. This had nice trees and benches and stuff, but also tranquil. We ended up hanging out. We got there a couple hours early. The one drawback is there's not a lot of places to eat, but we did find a nice brewery that is veteran run. It was called Old Hammer
I was there.
Brewery. So we hung out there and had a few beers before the game, and we walked over to the game. The ballpark, I couldn't believe this is a brand new team, just started this year. It seemed like every person in the ballpark was wearing Cannonballers gear. It was amazing how successful the rebranding has been from the Intimidators to the Cannonballers. And I really enjoyed the park. The food was so-so. One thing I will say, Kannapolis, take your mice traps and hide them. Don't put them on the concourse where everybody can see them. It's really not a good look. So it was bark in the park. So there were a lot of dogs around.
Man,
yeah. But seeing mice traps.
Just have Marc. You don't need any mouse traps.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I was there Tuesday night, and no, I enjoyed it too. I thought it was very festive. I liked the new branding as well. Beautiful colors. I thought their word mark looks excellent. They have an actual organist that plays live music. I don't know if he was there the night you were there, but I recorded him a few times. He was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I just don't see live organists at minor league ballparks." This is kind of excited. There's an outdoor bar with Adirondack chairs and seats that was a little cool spot to grab a beer and watch the game. They had a bounce house that featured their mascot that looks very similar to Dale Earnhardt Sr., and it was closed just because of COVID, even though the one in Charlotte was open. So, you figure that out. Very wide open space. You got there was like North Carolina Research Center buildings in the background, small little downtown where you can park for free.
Yes.
It's just a cool little spot. I'm kind of interested to see where that leads to in the future. The kids area was really nice. That jungle gym looked like a lot of fun. I wanted to get up on there, but that'd be a little bit embarrassing. I'd wind up on somebody's TikTok. But yeah, I liked it too. I heard bad things about that ballpark. I also heard things about High Point, which we'll get to. And I was like, I'm glad I don't listen to what people write about, because both of these ballparks were quite fascinating. And my only complaint is I did not see the mascot. I saw him in the elevator going up to the press box. He walked past me, and that was it. Did not see him for the rest of the night, so I'm not sure what happened to him. You saw him the next night, so maybe
about 100 times, yes.
Yeah, I didn't see him. Did not see him at all, and it was probably one of the only games I did not see the obligatory mascot making his rounds or making her rounds.
Okay, so from Kannapolis, where were you headed?
Well, that's Kannapolis. I wound up going to High Point, and I did not see a baseball game there. I did walk in and ask them, "Hey, can I go inside and take some pictures?" And the intern or person working the desk said, "Okay, I'll be right back." And out came account executive Carolyn Cooling, who not only took me inside the ballpark, she gave me a personal tour. She showed me the visitor lockers, which are pink exterior. She showed me the suites. She gave me all the facts and info about the stadium, including how they used old pieces of wood and parts of the old furniture factories to build the lights in the interior of the gift shop that also features a bar. She showed me the old seats from different ballparks that were installed in one section. You can also bring your dog to any baseball game at High Point. There's a dog run. There's a kids splash zone. And there's a park there that's open throughout the day that you can come and read a book or bring your dog. So thank you, Carolyn. You took some time off out of your busy day to help a ballpark hunter see something I just wanted to take pictures. I didn't care if I got the tour, but that tour was really a lot of fun, and I appreciate you doing that. So give that girl a raise, Rockers organization. She did a fabulous job. You got to see a game there, though, so you got a little bit of a better experience than me.
I did. I was there on Friday night, the High Point Rockers against the West Virginia Power. They were beginning a homestand, so we caught them on Friday night, like I said. And everything you said about the ballpark, Mark, I agree with. Some of the extras out in the outfield, the splash zone and the park, which is nicely done, were all fun, were nice touches. Another great thing about the ballpark, Frank Viola is the pitching coach for the Rockers.
Yeah.
And he just kind of holds
right.
court out by the bullpen before the games, and he'll talk to the fans and sign autographs, and he's very friendly, cordial. We missed Frank Viola bobblehead night by one night, but that's all right. Food wasn't anything great to brag about, but again, another ballpark, much like Gastonia, it's got a lot of different seating options. So we spent a few innings in the regular seating bowl. It's a little more traditional than Gastonia. But then there's a picnic area up in right field. We sat there for a couple innings and got a nice breeze, and then sat in the outfield. So got to take in a lot of different angles. If you're into kitschy things, the world's largest chest of drawers is located maybe 3 or 4 blocks away from the ballpark, so you can check that out. And there was a great brewery we found. Again, we did a lot of breweries on this trip. This might be the drinkingest road trip I've ever taken with my wife. This one was called Paddles South. Really nice place, about 2 blocks away from the ballpark. So all in all, yeah, great time. If I had to compare and contrast, because I did 2 Atlantic League ballparks on this trip, I liked High Point better than Gastonia, but they're very different animals. So they were both very well done ballparks.
Yeah, I liked High Points a lot better too. But you're right; they're different animals, and both are there to rebuild that downtown area.
Yeah,
and I just hope they get some more Atlantic League teams in the South. Yeah, it's that High Point, Greensboro, Durham, that Winston-Salem area. My goodness, there's so many ballparks to choose from. Where my friend lives, I think we counted about 8 summer collegiate professional ballparks you can go to within an hour. I'm like, wow, could you imagine being that close to that many ballparks of that caliber? Plus, we're not even talking college stadiums during the springtime. So
exactly.
A lot of competition. Carolyn told me that on 4th of July, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, High Point, and the Thomasville High Toms all had games that weekend, and they all had sellouts.
Wow.
So that tells you that people like their baseball there.
Yeah, I was wondering whether High Point's going to be able to survive, because the Atlantic League strategy is always to put their teams right outside major markets. So you're wondering if the Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point can support 3 teams like that. And High Point's
you're right, because you're like 20 minutes away from Greensboro. It's very close. I mean, everything was on top of each other. Like, oh, it's going to be an hour or 2. Nope, you're there in 20 minutes. I mean, you're in the same. You can get a hotel in Greensboro and hit all those ballparks. That's how close you are.
That's how we did it. While we were in High Point, we also, I forgot to mention this earlier, we had checked out the High Toms, the home of the High Toms, Finch Field. Now, this was a little embarrassing because I read the schedule wrong, and the High Toms were not playing the night we went to visit. But when we went there to visit it, there was an American Legion game, so we caught a couple innings. It was the state tournament, so it was.
Oh, no way! That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. I was hoping to bump into an American Legion.
Yeah, as we were walking towards the stadium, we heard a ding of an aluminum bat, and I said, "Wait a minute, that doesn't sound right." And we got in there, and it's like, these guys aren't college kids; they're high school kids. So, but we stuck on nice old ballpark. I won't go into detail about it because everything was closed, so I didn't get the true experience. But a nice old-fashioned grandstand, giant hill in the outfield. Yeah, in left and center field. Yeah. So that was.
I was there several years ago to see a High Toms game, and it was a laid back atmosphere, but it's definitely what minor league baseball was like, 30, 40 years ago to some of us. So that stinks. You didn't get to see a game, but you actually did get to see a game. And American Legion ball, I'm not that familiar with it. Maybe I've seen one game in my life. in Salem, Virginia, but those could be a lot of fun too if they're done right. So,
Yep.
Very nice, very nice.
And so the night before,
so
the night before that, I was in Greensboro to catch the Grasshoppers.
Okay, good.
Got to see them play
Fun
Winston-Salem,
ballpark.
actually. Those two
Yeah.
cities have never been in the same league before. They both existed for
That's
quite
true.
a while, but now, thanks to reorganization, they play each other. They call it the I-40 series. Big crowd on hand in Greensboro on a Thursday night. Hot as heck, like you were saying. The Greensboro ballpark, not my favorite one on the trip, but it was okay. Our current review that's up on the website gives it like a 4.7. Crazy, ridiculously overrated review, but not entirely inaccurate. I'd still give it around a 4 on our fanfare scale. Like I said, big crowd. The big minus for me is you cannot walk all the way around the ballpark. But we saw one heck of a game. Greensboro ended up coming back from a large deficit and winning it in the bottom of the 9th inning on a walk-off home run. What's interesting about Greensboro to me is it doesn't have like a front door to it. You know what I'm saying? The entrance is halfway down a side street, and the ticket booth is at the bottom of the street.
Yes.
So you walk down to get your
you know
tickets,
what?
then you walk back up to get in the ballpark.
I noticed that too. I wasn't even. It's like there's something weird here. Now, before I went to the gift shop, it had been a while since I've been there, and I'm like, okay, something's different here. But I think they had just built some additional buildings nearby, so that's what happened. Yeah, it's a cool ballpark. It's a downtown setting. You
Yep.
know, it's like if you drive your car, you're right by the outfield fence, kind of like in Dayton, Ohio, and in some other spots. It's kept up well. Nice array of gifts. My buddy was upset they didn't have any Don Mattingly throwbacks or Derek Jeter throwbacks because both of them played in Greensboro at one time in their careers, and that would make a lot of sense. But maybe that's a financial thing that Chris Creamer can tell us about because I know he's listening. So just like I said, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point, Thomasville, Durham, my goodness, Danville, Burlington, all this synergy of baseball for everybody to view there. So yeah, it's really great going down there, and it's nice when you can see all of these ballparks. I had been to those places before, so they weren't really on my list. But here's the thing: I can go back and do another trip. I can do Asheboro. I can head over to Wilson. I can head to Zebulon. I can hit other ballparks as
Hickory,
well.
yeah.
Martinsville that are in that area. Hickory as well. Asheville, not close, but it's on my way there. You know, I can head to Fayetteville. The Florence Flamingos of the Coastal Plain League, they're moving into a new ballpark. I don't know how far that is, but who cares? You know, the Carolinas taking road trips going to baseball games. That's like that. The Carolinas have to be one of the best spots to just take a road trip and see baseball and barbecue and beer. It's just so damn hot. I was dripping sweat every 5 minutes. Every time I took my hat off, just it rained. So good times. I ended my trip for baseball in Spartansburg, South Carolina, which is 30 minutes north of Greenville, another wonderful ballpark. I had been there before. I would have loved to get there again. I met up with an old colleague and buddy of mine from New Jersey back in our roller hockey days. And we went to Dunkin Park, which was built in 1926, historic Dunkin Park. I've written about it on the site. They're home to about, I think, 400 or so Connie Mack seats, vintage stadium seats from 1909. And right now the stadium is home to the Spartanburgers of the Coastal Plain League, one of the most unusual names you'll find. But they do a nice job there. It's family orientated. I was there on a Thursday night, so I think the crowd was a lot larger than normal. I've heard they've had anywhere from 100 to 50 to 150 people at the game. And right now, the main grandstand is going under major renovations, so most of the seating is off limits. In fact, the PA people sit behind a giant fence that also features signage that says Dunkin Park. You can't see them. But they do a nice job entertaining fans. They have a tomato ketchup bottle called Tom 80. He comes around and entertains fans. They have a group of staff members that dance and sing, and they get people into the thick of things at the ballpark. There's seating down the foul lines that includes picnic areas. There's 2 bathrooms at each end, so that's convenient for folks. Nice array of merchandise, even though a lot of it was sold out by the time I arrived there. My only thing that was a little bit odd is that the Spartan Burgers have 2 squads. One is for the Coastal Plain League, and I don't know what the other one is, but they played another team that's not in the Coastal Plain League, and it was only 7 innings. So it was a 7-inning baseball game. It wasn't a doubleheader. It was just a 7-inning game. So I have a feeling that was, and I don't know what that was. I don't know if the other squad is in some kind of local amateur league. But yeah, Dunkin Park, a historic place that has been hosting baseball for years. It was the home of the Phillies farm team. Larry Boa, Ryan Sandberg played there. And it was great to see that it's back in business, because the last time I was there, I actually snuck into the ballpark to take pictures of the old seats, and I had to open up a piece of the fence, crawl in. You can imagine my big butt crawling into something. But this time I got to take in a seat. I sat in those chairs and enjoyed my time. So it was still very hot. I think Thursday night was a nice crowd, and I wish them well. They reminded me of baseball from the early 90s, and I'm just was happy to fit in Spartansburg on my trip. And I think that makes a complete set of Coastal Plain League teams for the website. So that's also exciting to see as well.
Nice. And I ended up my trip on the way home. I stopped in a brand new ballpark in Fredericksburg, Virginia, the Fred Nats Park. Boy, I hadn't traveled in the 95 corridor around the DC area in a long time. Holy moly, the traffic was horrible. I feel real bad. I was supposed to meet up with Kelly. Pam and I were supposed to meet up with Kelly before the game, and Kelly just couldn't do it. She got on the highway and sat. So ended up having to turn around, and we ended up meeting after the game.
She left 2 hours before the game started.
Yeah. 2 hours before we were supposed to meet up. Yeah. She never made it.
She never made it. She an hour, and I got a text an hour after she left going, "I gave up. I'm coming home."
Yeah.
And she didn't get 15 minutes technically from the house. Yeah. That's how bad 95 was.
It was awful.
Yeah,
we were stuck going the other way.
Yeah.
But actually ended up getting off and going up Route 1 and made great time on Route 1. But anyway, this ballpark, brand new. So it's got that shiny.
Hold on. I just want to preface this by saying that this is the team that used to play at the place I reference all the time, Pfitzner Stadium, which was basically a diamond with metal bleachers around it.
What a difference, Dan, from Pfitzner. Holy crap.
Yeah, they actually built a stadium.
It's got that shiny, it needs to be lived in a little bit. It's a little too new, a little too clean. All right, some negatives. Let's go with a couple negatives first.
It's in Fredericksburg.
It's at the back. It's in the back of a shopping center. So there's one way in and one way out. You got to weave through the shopping
I didn't know that.
Back there. And there's a
Is
rotary.
it a shop, right?
I don't know. There's a rotary
not down
and
here.
You go in.
Nope.
So access is very, very poor.
It's funny you say that. I just wanted to give you a little perspective. They were, you know where you and Kelly met after the game?
Yep.
That's where the stadium was going to go, next to that. So it was going to be virtually the same kind of deal.
Yeah.
And around here, cluster F. But go ahead.
Yeah. Kind of expensive for a low A ball. I would say that.
Got to pay for that stadium.
And it's got the 360-degree wraparound concourse, but the press box isn't elevated over the concourse. It's on concourse level. So to get from the first base side to the third base side, you kind of got to go way back and way around. It's almost like you feel like you leave the ballpark to go from one side to the other. So that's kind of a design flaw. One thing that they did fantastically that I loved, on the back of the batter's eye, they've got a history of Fredericksburg baseball display, which is incredibly done. And that was my highlight of the ballpark. So take that for what it was, for what it is. The merchandising. Holy cow. They have merchandise, this new team, fantastically. Their main logo is a cartoonish George Washington. And I bought a hat there. I don't buy a lot of hats. Well, I got a new hat on now. This one only cost me $8 in Forest City, but I love the logo so much I had to get a hat.
Hold on,
Hey,
Kelly.
I bought a hat for $2.50 in Evil, so I'm with you there, Paul.
Kelly just commented, "What history?"
There was
She
a story
probably
about
like, what history?
there's a story about somebody, was it Walter Johnson or somebody recreating George Washington's throw of the silver dollar across the Potomac.
Oh my God!
And there was stuff about the old women's team that played there and the old Eagles team that played there.
All right.
So it was interesting. But yeah, a little sterile at this time. Let's give it some time to be lived in and then see what we think.
Yeah, I'd love to give it some time to actually get to it. When they said it was,
I like to get myself an 8-hour head start.
when you need to like go down the night before, stay at a hotel, and then go. When they announced it was going to Fredericksburg, dude, what did I tell you? I saw on this show.
You did.
I said it's technically 15-minute ride. Never gonna make it. Never gonna make it there. And the first attempt, it's happened. I'm done. Route 1 is a great escape sometimes, isn't it?
If you're lucky and don't hit all the lights.
Route 1.
Yeah.
God. Oh my God.
So
That's so funny.
Route 1. I grew up right near Route 1.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because Route 1 is what 95 is. North south.
No, that's the turnpike.
Yeah, no, Route 1. No, Route 1 goes from Florida to Maine.
Yeah.
Like
From
95.
Prescott,
Oh
Maine.
yeah. Okay,
95.
It runs.
But it has traffic
runs
lights
parallel.
and less lanes.
Yeah.
And
And
sometimes
that's what you used to drive before 95. Yeah.
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. But sometimes, like
Okay.
when Jenny and I went to visit Greensboro, we went to the WWE show. Driving down was fine, believe it or not. Driving there was fine. Driving back after 4 hours on 95, I said, "I'm getting off. I'm driving up Route 1. I can't do this anymore." And not only was the drive better looking because you drove through all the towns, I know there were people that were 6 hours behind me by the time I got home. But yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Kelly left early. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it didn't work out. Well, we met up after the game real quick. And it was good to see her again.
Yes.
And
Sorry. If I wasn't nervous about Roscoe, I would have brought him, but I was giving him a rest. He had a rough week.
And
I
then
know.
after Fredericksburg, finished up our trip in Jersey on the shore at the former. They used to be called the Lakewood Blue Claws. Now they're called the Jersey Shore Blue Claws. And man, I haven't been to this ballpark in 8 years. They really play up the Jersey Shore angle, don't they? To great success.
Yeah, new ownership came in.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of places down there do it because you're not too far from the Jersey Shore. But yeah, new ownership came in and said,
Yep.
Boardwalk games, putt-putt,
Yep.
carnival food. No Zeppelis, though.
No.
No Zeppelis.
What?
No Zeppelis. Yeah.
Beer
All
garden.
that stuff is there.
Yeah,
What bullshit? Okay.
Bands playing throughout the game,
Yeah,
which was
Zeppelis.
different. Yeah, beach chairs, lifeguard chairs in the
Oh, that's
outfield.
new.
They had the boardwalk
Lifeguard
games.
chairs.
They had
That's been there, but
putt golf, and I had from the concession stand. I ordered a pork roll, egg and cheese sandwich, which they cooked to order, so it was pretty good.
yeah, that's yeah. I know Trenton makes pork roll in different varieties, but that you had egg and cheese, so that's kind of the ideal way to eat it. One of the ideal ways to eat it. So yeah, good food there. The Primo sausage truck. I don't know if that was there that night, but that's always good eating too in Lakewood. And Thursday nights are good chicken wing night. Yeah, I really like that ballpark because I think it's the only one in New Jersey that wraps around. It's always clean. It just has this very nice, pristine look. And when I go home, I always try to hit up a Thursday night game. So I was a little bit jealous you got to check out a Blue Claws game because that's fun times.
Yeah, and that was my trip. Anywhere else you stopped in, Mark, that we didn't hit?
I I stopped at the Tennessee Smokies ballpark on my way home. Once again, I get there. They let you walk around. They were having that night, if I had stayed, I don't know what you guys think of this, Squint bobbleheads from the Sandlot. They were having the casts from the Sandlot there. They said it was the largest selection of cast people from the movie were appearing at the game that night. So they were going to be there. But my last game was not a baseball game. It was a soccer match at the new TQL Stadium in Cincinnati. That was Saturday night. There was like 25,000 people at this stadium. And I got to tell you something. I worked in professional soccer in Cincinnati in 2003. And if we drew 50 people to a game, we consider that good. They are just over the top with the stadium design, the food, the ambiance, the amenities.
Holy crap. What league plays there?
Beautiful MLS.
It is MLS. I was going to say 26,000. Damn.
Yeah. They the outside of the stadium has an LED screen shell, and it just lights up the colors of the soccer club, orange and blue. It can also light up ads and different messages. I mean, this thing is gorgeous. And once again, it's in a part of town that is not redeveloping. It's a residential area. It's right near Taft High School, but I expect some really cool places to eat bar-wise before the game in future years. And, baseball game, you go there for the family entertainment. Soccer game, you go there to root on your team. You go there to have a night out with friends. And some of the friendliest people on my trip, just when I was recording, were coming up going, FCC, and hey, how you doing? And are you a YouTuber? And I mean, it was a lot of fun. This 2-level team store, which was massive. I mean, it's a legit stadium. It's just amazing that, when we grew up, Paul, we didn't have professional soccer. It was indoor soccer. And now we have these soccer-specific stadiums that are just as nice as some of the ones over in Europe.
I had pro
and
soccer.
Here in this
I had
country.
the North American Soccer League I had when I was
you had the New England T-Men.
Yes,
well,
we did.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
And there was a Rhode Island team too.
T-Men, they played at
Nickerson Field.
Oh my God, there was that. Yeah, so it was. I'm just excited. I was happy that I was able to fit that into my journey, and I'm trying to get to Columbus sometime soon. And I'm going to be up in Chicago in September checking out their new Division III team along with a ladies team, the Red Stars. So that's going to be a doubleheader coming up. I guess sometime in October, September. So, yeah, that's as we move from baseball season, which isn't over yet, we'll start hitting some soccer matches. So stay tuned. But yeah, that's how I ended my trip, and I drove directly home from the game, and I got home about 11:30 at night, and started school the next on Monday. So yeah. My vacation, my summer's over here in Indiana. So, oh well, I had fun. I can't complain about it.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we were able to talk about epic road trips, and sounds like we both had fantastic
epic
trips.
Road trips.
So
everyone,
thanks for we didn't get to get into the barbecue. That'll be a subject for another day. Thanks to everyone who stuck around till the end here. It's been a long, great conversation. Dan, where could our listeners follow you online?
Follow me at DanLaw83 and stay away from 95.
Pretty much any part of 95, but yeah, DC area especially.
Oh, just leave.
Marc, after the epic trip, you got any trips planned for the next couple weekends? And where can our listeners follow your travels?
I may not be going anywhere anytime soon, but Columbus new stadium is definitely on my radar. So I would love to compare that to Cincinnati's. That should be fun. You can follow me at Ballpark Hunter on all social media platforms. Check out my YouTube page. I have some reviews of some of the places I traveled to on this trip. I have maybe 30 different shows that I can put up, and we're just getting started, folks. There'll be plenty of content in the future. So stay tuned, subscribe, And read Stadium Journey as well. We have some great reviews from those trips as well, from many writers, not just Paul and I.
Right.
Or
And
Paul me.
Dave is not with us right now, but you can follow him online at ProFan9. And Mark, I'm like you. After that big trip, we've got nothing planned for the next couple of weeks. I'm
Yeah.
sure that will change soon
I'm
enough.
good. I'm good for a while. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll probably sneak up to someplace. Well, I think the St. Paul Saints are coming to Indy soon, so I would find that would find that interesting to watch them play. So I would probably check that out. And I do need to get up to South Bend sometime this year because it's been a while since we've done it hasn't been a while since Stadium Journey's done a review. It's been a while since I've done a review. So yeah, be nice to hit that.
All right. And you can follow my Stadium Journeys on Twitter or Instagram at PuckmanRI. And don't forget, you can visit stadiumjourney.com to find all of our 2,500 stadium reviews, news items, and other feature stories. Connect with us on social media. We're at Stadium Journey. Like, comment, and share on all the channels. To find audio versions of the Stadium Journey podcast, search HIAC Talk Radio Network on your podcast search app, or check us out on Spotify. You can find the video simulcast of all of our podcasts on our YouTube page, and our back catalog can still be found at vocnation.com. Remember, if you want to watch the recordings live, we record every other Tuesday night at 8 Eastern at twitch.tv/danlaw83. Join us next week or the week after, whenever it is, depending on when you're watching this, for a topic to be determined. So for Dan, Mark, and Dave, this is Paul, wishing you safe stadium journeys and close games. Hope to see you on the road real soon.